Oh, that's the end of session for today. Oh man, I'm so stoked with this setup. This is literally helping me tread water and not lose my mind during this lockdown. I recommend to anyone to build one of these bad boys. Key points about it would be making sure you got enough room for the feet. Lots of stuff I read about campus boards, like you need that bit of distance between your legs and whatever you're kind of propping it up against. I think I've got about 250 mil and it's like just about enough. Yeah, build a roof for it for sure. The roof is pretty key because it pisses down a lot here. Yeah, start with it was fine. We had some like good weather and I got loads of sessions in on it. Yeah, you can't really train that much in the rain, although it is overhanging. Definitely needs a bit of a roof. So the roof is really key. I mean, you see up there now, like the roof is actually wet. The holes are completely dry. I feel like I did a brilliant job with the roof. So I'm absolutely stoked with that. Pads, I've just got like 2 bouldering pads here and they seem to be fine. I've decked it off the top rung quite a few times and yeah, yeah, great. One black diamond one and then one, I don't even know what that one is. But they work out really well. Put some feet on for the warm-up. I put the feet on for the warm-up and for Raenee so she can play on it as well. And buy jug rungs. I think I bought jug rungs, but they're not actually jugs, so they don't feel like jugs to me. They're actually like kind of sloper jugs. I wish I'd got something with an in-cut so I could actually like properly warm up, but now I've got my pull-up bar up that I can warm up on, doing like shrugs and things like that before I go get on it. Warm your fingers up really well before you get on. The best way I find to warm my fingers up is to have the feet on and to do the just going up and down and gradually kind of build yourself up to doing the session. You should be spending at least, I think, about 15 to 20 minutes on the warm-up, just on the fingers before you actually jump on, do anything powerful on this thing. And you should also have been climbing for a long time before you jump on something like this. I remember a few years ago I jumped on campus boards way too soon, but I was always on like big rungs. Yeah, absolutely stoked with this setup. anyone from Auckland, if you're completely bored during lockdown and you've been climbing a while, you want to do some training, just hit me up on Facebook. I probably won't come out. We're obviously staying in our bubbles and stuff like that, but you can come out as long as you brush your holds after. You can come play on my setup if you want. I know everybody's going through a hard time at the moment and it's pretty stressful, so yeah, I'm happy to share this with any friends that are out there that want to jump on. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video on me building my campus board. Don't follow any of what I did for building it in structural integrity, because I'm probably not the best carpenter, as you can tell by the roof section. But yeah, I hope this was a fun video and you enjoyed it. Cool, see you in the next one. Oh, one last thing is the next ones are going to be a bunch of indoor climbing videos, because I've been filming for Pedge and taking all their photos over this lockdown period. So we are kind of filming a few routes in there, trying to get a bit of sight going. We're not trying to upset anybody, but we are trying to build that site, because there's some sick routes going in there and we want everybody to see them. So the next bunch of videos are probably going to be kind of indoor climbing and how to climb these new routes at Pedge, and kind of what these guys have actually been doing, which is such an awesome job. And although they get to climb each time they go in there to test the routes and things like that, there is way more setting going on than there is climbing, and they're putting their hearts into these new routes, kind of testing them, tweaking them, making sure they're the best quality of routes before anybody gets to go in there and actually try them in a few weeks' time. And coming from me as well, saying something like that, most people know I don't like indoor climbing that much, and I think they're pretty good routes. So yeah, stay tuned and I'll see you in the next one. Cool. So a quick talk through of how I put this thing together. Started off with some 150 by 50 mil timber framing. Put that together and it stands at about 3.6 meters high. The actual board now goes to about 3.7, just where I decided to put it up to, really. Basically, I wanted it to be high enough that I wasn't going to have to kind of crouch down on them first few rungs, and that I could just pull on and it would feel nice and fluid when I pulled onto the actual campus board. So once I got the frame up, I leveled out the feet, as you can see just down there. I've got it on bricks on one side, and then the other side I kind of tamped it down, and there's a brick underneath that piece of waterproof matting. Got it level, just use a spirit level for in the middle, put on the framing to go between this and this, put on a couple of chocks just to keep the timber framing in place, screwed it in using some big wood screws, pretty massive. So once the framing was up, that's when I put together the plywood board for the campus rungs itself. I put that together on the floor first and made a gridded system on the back with, I think it's maybe 50 by 25 mil timber on the back of that, something like that. And they were 2 meters high. This board only needed to be 2 meters. So once I measured it out, I chopped it down so you can see it's like one full piece, which is the top bit of plywood, and this bottom one I've actually trimmed down. I think I took about 800 mil off or something. So the whole thing ends out to be about 2 meters, which gives me plenty of room at the top, kind of a little buffer zone, and then a little bit of buffer zone at the bottom as well, and plenty of room for the campus rungs. One thing I didn't want to do is overload the board with holds, thinking, oh, I've got loads of space to do this, so I just chuck on an extra set. I thought it looked better just having them spread out a little bit. The campus rungs are 22 centimeters apart, 22 centimeters between each rung, and I basically bought as many rungs as I could afford at the time. They're all awesome woody rungs, except for the slopers in the middle. These are Alpadex slopers, and I had these as part of my home board setup when I had that down in the garage. But yeah, since I've taken all of that down, I thought I'd put them on the board, and they work perfectly. So well, in fact, that I've contacted them directly, and I'm buying another 12 slopers for the board. So I've got them going, hopefully, all the way to the top, which will be pretty cool. So the hole sizes that I've ended up going for is I've got 19 millimeters here, 25 millimeters in the middle, and then 50 millimeters over on the far right. I would probably recommend getting the 75 millimeter jug rungs, or a jug rung that has like a bit of a lip on it, if I was going to build this again. Each one has like 4 screws in it, and the plywood is 12 millimeter structural and treated to be outside. The reason I only use 12 mil is because it's all I could get hold of at the time. We're in lockdown here, and it was an absolute nightmare to get hold of any wood, and the wood I managed to get hold of and things like that is most of the stuff I had laying around already, or I kind of had to make compromises. After I got the whole thing up and realized I needed the roof, I realized I also needed the side panels as well. Without the side panels, the water would actually just like get in from the side. So I put a side panel on each side, as you can see, and it protects it really well from the elements. So far we've had some really bad weather, and it's really stood up to the test of it. Every time the sun comes back out, I can come back out here, I can jump straight back on. The slopers went a little bit moldy, but I think that's because they've been in storage for ages, just stored in a box like outside, so I've scrubbed them up a little bit. They'll be fine. But yeah, that's pretty much how I put it together. Put it together in the 2 pieces, and then when I wanted to get the plywood on there, all I did was lent it on the piece of timber that goes across here, and then kind of just like flipped it up using a kind of a pulley system on the back of the board and a rope. It was actually really easy to do and to get up, and yeah, it wasn't actually as heavy as I thought it was going to be. I was putting it up and pulled it up into position. I actually just pulled it up with some ropes, and then once it was up with the ropes, I tied it off and put it at 15 degrees. And that's when I put the temporary pieces of timber across. Like, that's a temporary piece on the far right hand side that I just haven't taken off, and then I chucked on maybe 5 or 6 solid pieces along the back, and just cut them to 15 degrees to drill them into the actual board itself. Yeah, so I was told between 12 and 20 degrees is a normal campus board. This is set at about 15 or 15.5 degrees, I think it came out at, which is, it seems perfect. Because we've had a bit of bad weather and the board would have like contracted and like expanded and stuff, what I am going to do is get up on a ladder, and I'm going to just re-screw all the screws as well at some point, just to offset for that. So other than that, cool. That's how I put it together.